Welcome inside the coach's room. I'm Steve Peters. You can just call me Petey. Today, we're taking a closer look at the Western Conference Finals between the Edmonton Oilers and the Dallas Stars. But before we get started today, if you're just finding this channel inside the coach's room and you're wondering who the heck is this guy that I'm listening to, just want to give you the perspective that this show is coming from. I was a video coach in the National Hockey League for over 20 years with the Arizona Coyotes, worked for Tippett and Tocchet. I was video coach for Team North America, so I had players like Matthews, McDavid, McKinnon, worked for Todd McClellan there, Cooper, Gerard Gallant. So I've been around the league for a very long time, and I broke down game film for a living. That's what I did. Now, if you're looking at perspectives, I'm not a reporter. I don't ask the inside scoop questions. You're not going to find that here because I don't have the pulse on what's going inside these rooms from a reporter's perspective. And I wasn't a player. And I know a lot of these shows, you're going to find the perspective of a player, what it's like to be on the ice in these games and in these situations. But I was in the coach's room, and I was in the coach's room during playoffs, and I was in the coach's room in the playoffs between periods when you have to make adjustments and change the way you're playing. I've also been in there with team prep, trying to figure out how you're going to beat an opponent through a playoff series and trying to find their strengths and weaknesses as you continue on and trying to march on. Made it as far as the Western Conference Finals just once. I know it's Arizona. You can tease me all you want that we weren't in the playoffs very often. We actually made it there. We just couldn't find our way through the first round except 2012. So I've been there. And this show is going to come from the perspective of inside the coach's room and what coaches see and what coaches are thinking and what they're thinking about and matchups and strategies and so on. So that's the perspective that inside the coach's room comes from. But today we're going to talk about the Edmonton Oilers and the Dallas Stars. And first, we got to talk about how they got here and how the Edmonton Oilers were able to get to this finals. They played the LA Kings in the first round. And I'll be honest, and I've said this before in this show, over the last 2 years, I have bet against the Edmonton Oilers in almost every series. And that includes the first series against the LA Kings. I thought the LA Kings were deeper. I thought they did some things up the middle of the ice that helped strengthen their team. I thought their power play was extremely good. I thought they had balanced scoring. I thought Kemper was coming in hot. And I thought this was the year that they were going to beat the Edmonton Oilers. They had the best home record in the Western Conference. They had home ice advantage, and they were going to come in and beat the Edmonton Oilers. Then after winning the first two at home, I said, for sure, this is what's going to happen. But it didn't. And things changed for Edmonton. And the biggest change for the Edmonton Oilers in that first series was the change in goaltender and their ability to get Pickard in, and Pickard did what he needed to do. But let's make no mistake. The Edmonton Oilers gave up 3 or more goals in 5 of the 6 games against the LA Kings. They averaged 4 goals against in that first round. The only team that was worse in the first round goals against was the LA Kings. So don't get led to think that, oh my gosh, and this is where we're going to talk about Pickard and Skinner later. This is one of the areas that the Edmonton Oilers in the first round really struggled at, was defending their net and keeping their opponents off of the score sheet. But that changed in the second round after they got through an LA King team that shortened their bench and played 3 lines. And we talked about how the depth of the LA Kings really laid bare as that series went on. But in the second series, they played a Vegas Golden Knights team. And again, I picked the Vegas Golden Knights, and Vegas Golden Knights at home. They're balanced scoring team. They can be hard and physical. They can play down low. They can get to the net. But then Edmonton did all those things, and they did all those things better. And the second round, you look at what they did goals against wise. They trimmed their goals against average from 4 down to 2. It was second best through 2 rounds of the playoffs, only behind Carolina. The smothering Carolina Hurricanes are the only team that gave up fewer goals in the second round than the Edmonton Oilers. Now, the other thing that they did against Vegas is they scored. Their average, 3.2 goals per game in the second round, and they were only second to Florida. So second to Carolina in goals against and second to Florida in goals for. If you say that, they're the best team in the Western Conference in the second round in goals for and goals against. If you combine those two things, surprise, you win. But one of the concerns in the second round against Vegas Golden Knights, and one of the biggest question marks for the Edmonton Oilers as they continue on to play the Dallas Stars, is their power play in the second round was the worst power play of all teams in the second round. They were 8th out of 8. They were 1 for 11. You know what's first? Dallas. Dallas was first in the second round at 31.3%. They were 5 for 16 in the second round. Not customary for the Edmonton Oilers power play to struggle like this. It's going to be a big key as this Western Conference Finals continues. Can Edmonton get back on track? I tell you what, they were getting scoring chances. They had opportunities. You got Bouchard on the top. Draisaitl was getting his looks, but they're going to have to break through and score against the Dallas Stars if they want to make their way back to the Stanley Cup Finals again. The other thing that you have to talk about is how this team defended in the second round. We already said that they had the second fewest goals against, but they also had the third fewest shots against in the second round. Third fewest, only behind Carolina and Winnipeg. They gave up 24 shots against in the second round. And you have to credit the way this team defended. It's something you don't talk about with the Edmonton Oilers, how well this team defended in the second round. How well they limited rush chances for the Vegas Golden Knights with good sticks and solid defendings between the blue lines. But more importantly, the way they defended in front of their net. And the way they protected the house and the inside, the middle of the ice against the Vegas Golden Knights. The Vegas Golden Knights' best players, and we're talking about Stone and Eichel, were unable to get those opportunities from inside the slot area. They just didn't give up chances from that area. So you look at an Edmonton Oilers team that has balanced scoring, and balanced scoring they needed. Because in the second round, Draisaitl and McDavid combined for 3 goals. Combined. Two of the best players in the National League combined for 3 goals. You know who else had 3 goals? Corey Perry had 3 goals in this series. Corey Perry had as many goals as McDavid and Draisaitl combined. Now, that's not a knock. That's actually a good thing for the Edmonton Oilers because of their balanced scoring and their ability to find goals deeper in their lineup, something they hadn't been able to do in years past. They've always relied on 29 and 97 to get their way through and find the offensive side of the score sheet, but now they've got balanced scoring. So you combine balanced scoring with really good defending and, surprisingly, good goaltending. And we talked about Pickard holding down the fort and getting those 6 straight wins. And they were imperative for them getting to where they were because Skinner started off poor. It was not good in the first 2 games in this series. And when you look at him against LA, he gave up 11 goals in the first 2 games. You know, he's given up his last 2? None. He's got 2 straight shutouts, back-to-back shutouts, and that's a big difference for this team. So you talk about a team that's defending well. You talk about a team that's creating offense balanced through a lineup that can score not just on the top end, but at the bottom end. And you've got a goaltender that's playing well. That bodes well for the Edmonton Oilers as they head into the second round. But let's talk about the Dallas Stars. And how did the Dallas Stars get here? Well, I think they played the best team in hockey in the first round. It's funny. I talked about in my playoff previews, and it shows you how smart of a hockey guy I am. I had the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Colorado Avalanche meeting in the Stanley Cup Final. Tampa Bay was riding Vasilevsky, the hottest goalie in the league from January on. Kucherov was unstoppable. They had balanced scoring. Their power play was going. Gensel was scoring at an amazing pace. They were defending well. They shored up their middle ice during the trade deadline, and I thought Tampa was going all the way. Colorado did all of those exact same things. Their goaltending got better with the tandem that they got through trades. Their middle of the ice was shored up with Brock Nelson and Charlie Coyle. They looked deep down the middle of the ice, and I know the loss of Rantanen is going to be what comes back and bites them, but this team looked good. They played fast and they were deep down the middle of the ice, and I think you need to be deep through the middle to win, and they had all of those things. But Dallas was better. And the key to that series was Mikko Rantanen. Mikko Rantanen had 5 goals in 7 games, 12 points in those 7 games. And the Dallas power play was 30% during that first round. And those are the things that help boost them past the Colorado Avalanche. So the reality is Mikko Rantanen put that team on his back to beat his old team. And he was the difference in the first round. Early Conn Smythe, leader after the first round. And then they go on to play Winnipeg. In a series where the home team won 5 of 6 games. They had the best power play in the second round at 31.5%. So the Dallas power play, unlike the Edmonton power play that's really struggling as they get into the Western Conference Finals, Dallas is buzzing. Their power play over 30% in the first round, over 30% in the second round. Their shots per game, though, 7th out of 8 teams in the second round. They only had 22.8 shots per game against the Winnipeg Jets. That's going to be a challenge against an Edmonton Oilers team that defends extremely well and goaltender who's playing extremely well. They're going to have to find a way to generate more shots against the Edmonton Oilers as this series goes on. The other concern is Duchesne and Robertson. And I know Robertson's coming off an injury, and I know he didn't start this series, the first series against Colorado Avalanche, and he looked slower in those first few games back. He's starting to get his speed back. He's starting to look like his feet can move, but he's still not adding to the offensive side in the secondary scoring for the Dallas Stars, and neither is Duchesne. So you look at Robertson or Duchesne with 0 goals through 2 rounds. Huge concern. This is a team that we said how deep they were. And look how deep the Dallas Stars are. As a matter of fact, halfway through the season, their best line was their second line with Duchesne, Marchment, and Sagan until Sagan gets hurt. Like that team was driving the bus as Robertson had another slow start because of another injury in the offseason where he started off slow. So it was that second line that carried him. But the Sagan injury really changed the way that second line dynamic affected this Dallas Stars. They weren't as deep. They weren't getting that balance scoring that they really needed to be the Dallas Stars. Mikko Rantanen covered a lot of that. And he's been the key to their offensive success because they're going to have to find a way to find this balanced scoring. They need to have balanced scoring. And one of the things that they're doing to add to their scoring is the young defenseman Thomas Harley, who has had to fill a spot with Heiskanen out of the lineup. He's been absolutely fantastic on the back end offensively. He's got 4 goals through 2 rounds, which is tied for the most by any defenseman in the National Hockey League, along with Bouchard. And he's got 11 points through 2 rounds, which is only second to the Edmonton Oilers defenseman Bouchard. So this matchup is going to give you the best 2 offensive defensemen in the game right now during the playoffs in Bouchard and Harley. And Harley's going to have to add to their offense. If they can't find secondary scoring down the lineup, they're going to need to rely on Harley and Heiskanen. See, I said that. I know I got the comments. Heiskanen to help add in the offense. They are going to need their defense to help pitch in and create scoring. But the big reason the Dallas Stars are here, and let's make no mistake, and the big key to the way the Dallas Stars are playing right now is Jake Ottinger. He leads all Western Conference. He leads all goalies in save percentage. He's got 9.19 save percentage through 2 rounds. But more importantly, he's facing an incredible amount of rubber. He through 2 rounds, Jake Ottinger faced 394 shots through 2 rounds, 394, which led the league by a mile. Second was Hill with 292. He faced 100 more shots than any other goalie in the National Hockey. And let's face it, Ottinger is the key to the series. And you look back to the way Ottinger played against the Edmonton Oilers last season in the playoffs, I don't think he performed as well. I don't think he was the key to that series. I don't think he raised his level to go, oh my gosh, he's going to push them through. And he gave up weak goals against the Edmonton Oilers a season ago that allowed the Edmonton Oilers to get to the Stanley Cup final. Jake Ottinger has to be their best player. He has been to this point along with Mikko Rantanen, but he has to continue to do that against an Edmonton Oilers team that's going to generate offense. They're going to create shots, and they're going to wreak havoc in front of the blue paint. I want to show some of the numbers head to head and show where these two teams are at when we look at the numbers. And by the numbers right now, when you go to goals for per game through these 2025 playoffs, the Edmonton Oilers are putting up numbers. They 3.91 through 2 rounds. They're second. Dallas is 2.62, and they're 11th. So we talk about a team that's offensively finding right now. That's the Edmonton Oilers. Goals against, this is tricky because goals against the Edmonton Oilers are 9th at a 3.09, but they haven't given up a goal in 2 games. The second round, they were second best. So this number is skewed because of how poorly they played against the LA Kings in defending the net and in goaltending. Goals against, Dallas 2.92, 4th right now. And with the amount of shots and chances they're giving up, to give up 2.92 goals per game is exceptional. And they're going to have to continue to do that. They're going to have to get 3 or less against the Edmonton Oilers in this round to continue and try to battle for a Stanley Cup. The power play, surprisingly, Edmonton's 25% power play, and they're 6th. The Dallas Stars lead the power play race in these two teams right now with a 30.8. And that could be the difference. Penalty kill through 2 rounds. Edmonton is 14th of 16, 66.7. Well, the Dallas Stars are 3rd. Edmonton struggled in both rounds in their ability to stop the opposing team's power play from getting opportunities to get goals up on the board. And we've seen how good the Dallas Stars power play is 3rd right now through the playoffs through 16 teams. Well, Edmonton's penalty kill is 14th. This is an area that I think Dallas might be able to exploit, and this might be one of the keys to their series. Their power play has to be one of the difference makers in this series. But I want to continue to go through the numbers and the shots for per game. This is another area that's very lopsided. Through 2 rounds, Edmonton is 32.8 shots, 3rd in shots for. Well, Dallas, 24.8 shots for is 12th. 24.8 shots for. That's a problem. That's a problem, I guess, especially against the team that defends as well as the Edmonton Oilers do right now. And I'm surprised that I'm saying that, but the Edmonton Oilers are a complete team right now. Shots against per game, Edmonton's giving up 27.2, but that got better in the second round. And the shots against, well, Dallas gives up a lot. 31.8 shots per game against gives them 13th of the 16th team. They give up a lot of shots and they don't generate a lot of shots. It's a disparity that could be an issue as this series starts. Hits per game, Dallas is last in hits per game of all the teams in the playoffs through 2 rounds. 30.3 hits per game. They're 16th. Edmonton, middle of the pack. They're 10th, 35.6 hits per game. But you know the physicality is going to ramp up in this series. But the big key is they got to stay out of the penalty box. Dallas, it was 8th and 8th most penalty minutes per game at 10.46. And Edmonton was 13th, so third fewest at 7.54. So you could see by the numbers, it looks surprisingly through 2 rounds. The Edmonton Oilers been the better team. Better team offensively, better team defensively. The goaltending, you got to give the nod to the Dallas Stars. So I want to talk about some of the things that are going to be different. And as always, we'll probably end up pulling out the whiteboard at some point in this. But the Edmonton Oilers right now, we talk about balanced scoring and how much different that is. We talk about Draisaitl and McDavid always leading the way and always leading the path. Well, right now they have 9 players, 9, almost half of their roster has 3 or more goals. Almost half the roster, 9. How many Dallas Stars have 3 or more? 5. They're very top heavy. All 3 players on the top line have 3 or more, but this team, and one of those is Harley. They're not getting the balance scoring throughout their lineup that this team is accustomed to. And the Edmonton Oilers have 5 players with 4 or more goals. And so you're seeing the balance scoring from this team. It's not just 97 and 29. Having said that, they're going to have to be better in this round. 97 and 29 have to provide offense if they are going to continue on to the Stanley Cup final. Your best players need to be your best players as these kind of games ramp up. But what I want to talk about is their defending and how well the Edmonton Oilers are defending the middle of the ice right now. And this is an area that, again, surprising how well they're doing this. And this is something they did exceptionally well against Vegas in the second round, but look for them and how well they defend here down the middle of the ice. Now, the Dallas Stars are very good, and I mean their top skilled players are good at finding open areas inside that part of the ice. Duchesne, Rantanen, they find that area in the ice. Wyatt Johnston finds this area of the ice. The puck just seems to find 53. Just seems to find Wyatt Johnston in these quiet areas in the ice. But right now, the Edmonton Oilers are keeping their opponents to the perimeter. And when you can keep your opponents to the perimeter and not give up any opportunities inside this area of the ice, it gives Skinner a much greater opportunity to stop these shots. So one of the big keys for the Edmonton Oilers is to continue to defend this area of the ice and protect the middle. So how do the Dallas Stars alleviate that pressure? Well, I'm going to show you. The one thing the Dallas Stars did, and they did really well during the playoffs so far, we talked about them getting their defensemen involved in the play. Well, one of the things we talked about yesterday with the Eastern Conference Final is getting your weak side involved in the play. So when the puck is on this side of the ice, the Edmonton Oilers are exceptional at closing off this part of the ice. For the Dallas Stars, they have to get their defense involved in the play. And what that means, especially number 55, we're going to see as he's over here, he's going to come down and look for this backdoor play. He's going to sneak down and try to get inside the back area of the ice just to the right of Skinner. He's going to try to use this area of the ice, and Dallas is going to try to deliver this puck to him because right now Edmonton is so concerned about protecting low and protecting the middle of the ice that this guy can drift in. And I'm going to show you later today, and make sure you tune in because there's going to be a video breakdown on both of these teams and show you some of the video clips. And I'm going to show you the video clips of the Dallas Stars doing exactly this. Their ability for the weak side defenseman not to carry the puck in down here, but to sneak in and try to get opportunities on the back door. Look for the weak side defenseman to be a factor against the smothering defense. And can you believe I'm saying that? The Edmonton Oilers smothering defense. The Edmonton Oilers smothering defense through the middle of the ice. That's an area that's been amazing for Edmonton, and they're going to have to break it by using their defensemen. They're going to have to get pucks low to high in the zone because when you defend this area of the ice so well, Dallas has to get the puck back here in shots, or they're going to have to find a way for their defensemen to sneak down and find open ice. So look for the Dallas Stars to try to generate offense through their defense. It's going to be a big key in the series. Can they get the puck back, and can they get the puck through? And can they find a way to get their defense involved to open up some space down low against this very good defending Edmonton Oilers team? Now, I got a concern. We talked about the concern of the power play of the Edmonton Oilers. Only one power play goal through 2 rounds. The power play is going to have to get better. The power play is going to have to be better. With the personnel the Edmonton Oilers have on their power play, this power play should be better. So look for Draisaitl, McDavid, Bouchard. Look for them to be better on the power play in round 3. That is absolutely going to be one of the keys to this series. Penalty kill, they've been perfect in 3 straight games. They're going up against one of the best power plays right now in the playoffs in the Dallas Stars. This is one of those one-on-one matchups that's going to be a key to the series. The power play of the Dallas Stars versus the penalty kill of the Edmonton Oilers, and who wins out. It's going to help tilt the scales one way or the other. And right now, with the aggressive way the penalty kill is working for the Edmonton Oilers, they're also able to generate offense off of their penalty kill because they use their best players, and they've got players with speed and pace that can get the puck up the ice. So that's going to be a big part of this. We're going to talk about another area that's going to be important, and we talked about it a little bit in the Eastern Conference Finals as well. One of the things I talked about is Dallas using their defense to generate offense. Well, one of the things they do, they're going to pinch on both sides. And when a defenseman pinches, that means he's going down in the offensive zone to try to keep the puck in the zone. So you're going to see the Dallas Stars defenseman coming up and trying to keep pucks in. Well, one of the concerns, though, when you do that is you have the ability for your opponent to get pucks out and then use their speed onto those pucks to create races through the neutral zone. And what you see with the Dallas Stars, they give up a lot of odd man rushes because this defenseman pinches. You're going to get a forward covering for that defenseman. And you're going to have to defend players like McDavid and Draisaitl coming at you full speed, defending against a forward. That's a matchup Edmonton will take all day long. So look for the Edmonton Oilers to try to generate turnovers in this area of the ice from the top of the circles and get the transition going back the other way. This team is exceptional at transition off of turnovers in the high ice and getting pucks going back the other way. Their best players get pucks up the ice quickly, and they create odd man rushes. And you know who you have to look out for? Number 28, Brown. He was great in the second round at getting in behind the opposing defenseman and using his speed to get up the ice. So keep an eye on him. You know who else cheated on the offensive side of pucks? Number 90, Corey Perry. So look for them to fly the zone on creating turnovers because the Dallas defensemen are going to hang in and the Dallas defensemen are going to pinch in the zone. So keep an eye on that. One more thing I want to show you with the Edmonton Oilers. And they were exceptional at this. And they used this against the Vegas Golden Knights. And this is one of the strengths of the Knights. And honestly, this became one of the Oilers' mantras in this game. In the offensive zone for the Edmonton Oilers, their ability to get to this part of the ice. They were crashing the blue paint and making life difficult on Adin Hill. You see how many times, and we'll go through this film later this afternoon, so make sure you tune back into Inside the Coach's Room to see the video breakdown before the Western Conference Final happens. But they were getting to the blue paint. They were disrupting Hill. They need to do this against Ottinger. They would get pucks back to the point and shot, and they would converge, and everybody would get to this blue paint. And it's not just 5-on-5 in the offensive zone. When they were coming in off of the rush, when the Edmonton Oilers are coming in off the rush, they make sure someone drives through the blue paint off of the rush. Whether it's driving the outside player or if it's the middle lane driver, he is going to get to the blue paint, and he's going to disrupt Ottinger. So another key matchup in this series is who can defend this part of the ice. Does Dallas defend that? Are they able to box out and get under sticks? Or are the Edmonton Oilers able to gain that area of the ice and make life difficult on the defenders of the Dallas Stars and on Jake Ottinger? Look, the Edmonton Oilers have won 4 straight road games. They're not afraid of playing on the road. They're good on the road. They're better at home, but they're good on the road. So for the Edmonton Oilers, they got to get their best players back on the score sheet. Draisaitl and McDavid have to get on the score sheet. Their power play is going to have to be better. They have to drive the net, be around the blue paint, make life difficult for Jake Ottinger, and they have to create turnovers in the defensive zone and use their transition game to get offensive opportunities the other way. Well, what about for the Dallas Stars? For the Dallas Stars, Rantanen's put this team on his back and on his shoulders this entire playoffs. That has to continue in this round. He's got 1 goal in his last 5 games. That has to be better against the Edmonton Oilers. This team has won 6 straight home games. The Dallas Stars, the only game they lost was game 1 against the Colorado Avalanche, in a game that they didn't look ready to play. So the home ice can be an advantage for the Dallas Stars. Can they get the matchups they want to keep Draisaitl and McDavid off of the score sheet? The problem is Edmonton's got more than those 2 players. So I don't know if the matchup are going to be as key in this round. They've been outshot. The Dallas Stars have outshot their opponent one time through 2 rounds. One time. And that was game 2 against Colorado Avalanche, where they outshot them by 2 shots in game 2. They have outshot their opponents one time. Now, I don't expect them to outshoot the Edmonton Oilers the way they've been playing right now and the way the Edmonton Oilers are playing offensively, but they have to close that gap. They cannot give a 10-shot gap to the Edmonton Oilers, a team that has been providing so much offense and that has defended as well as they have. The Dallas Stars are going to have to deliver more pucks, and that means more shots from the blue line, and they're going to have to try to get those shots through for second chance opportunities and tips, which is going to be difficult with an Edmonton Oilers team that is defending the net front so well. But one of the keys is Dallas has to get more shots on net. They're going to have to test Skinner, and they're going to have to get more offensive opportunities by keeping the puck in the offensive zone off of the forecheck. They're going to need to get stops in off of the forecheck. We talked about protecting the net front against the Edmonton Oilers. They can't let the Edmonton Oilers inside the blue paint like Vegas did. They can't let them get to Ottinger the way the Vegas Golden Knights allowed Edmonton to get to Hill. They have to get under sticks, and they're going to have to box out against the Edmonton Oilers. And the best way to defend is playing the other end of the ice. So that means they're going to have to get the puck out clean. They're going to have to break out quickly against an Edmonton Oilers team that once they're in the offensive zone, they like to stay there. So you've got to get pucks out quickly and get pucks out past the blue line. And sometimes for the Dallas Stars, it's going to be chipping pucks off of the wall to live for another day. Dallas is last in hits in the playoffs so far and hits per 60. It's going to have to be better. They're going to have to use their physical presence, but Jamie Benn, you're going to have to do it without going to the penalty box. Because Edmonton's power play may be struggling right now with only 1 goal in the second round, but it's going to get better. You still don't want to put that group of 5 on the ice with a man advantage very often in this playoffs. So you have to walk that line of being more physical than you have been. And I know Marchment can be physical. You've seen Ben be physical. You're going to have to get everybody to chip in to be more physical in this series against the Edmonton Oilers. Duchesne and Robertson got to score. Jason Robertson, Duchesne, you've got to get balanced scoring right now. The top line can't carry you offensively. You're going to have to find goals throughout this lineup. It's going to have to be somebody than just Rantanen, Hintz, and Granlund. Someone else is going to have to pinch in the scoring. And I said it's getting the D involved. And we talked about the backdoor play by their D, and it's also going to be coming in off of the rush. The D, expect a 4-man rush every time up the ice for the Dallas Stars. That's Heiskanen, that's Harley. Heck, even Bishop was coming in off of the back end. The D are going to have to be involved for the Dallas Stars offensively. They need to find a way to generate more offense, especially against Skinner, a goaltender that has struggled at times in this playoffs. Even with the back-to-back shutouts, get to Skinner and make him look like the Skinner that he was during the LA King run. And lastly, for the Dallas Stars, it's Jake Ottinger. Jake Ottinger's got to be their best player. Has to be the best player for the Dallas Stars. He has been through 2 rounds, but he wasn't last year when he played the Edmonton Oilers in the finals a year ago. He needs to be the best player for the Dallas Stars right now because there's one player we haven't mentioned for Edmonton, and he might be an X factor as this series goes on, and that's the defenseman Ekholm, who has been reported to be practicing with the team. And he may return in this series. And we talked about an Edmonton Oilers team that's already defending better than they have during the regular season and in the first round. And then you add a player like Ekholm, who plays a complete 200-foot game that's going to help them offensively, but he's more importantly going to help them off of the rush. He's going to help them with rush reads and D-zone coverage and his ability to close plays off in the defensive zone. He plays a 200-foot game, and he is going to make a huge difference for a team that's already playing better defense than they have in a long time. So those are the keys for the Dallas Stars. They need to get balanced scoring. Ottinger's their best player. Rantanen's going to have to carry this. They're going to have to find a way to get shots from the inside. And to do that, they're going to have to use their defense. They're going to have to use the defense in the back door. They have to use their defense to get shots on goal to help open up that defensive zone a little bit. Make the Edmonton Oilers forwards get out to their defense, which opens up space underneath and in behind. So the defense are going to be a big key for them. So what do I think? What do I think as this goes on? What do I think about this series? Well, I'll tell you this. Over the last 2 seasons, I have bet against the Edmonton Oilers in every single series. And I always say, oh, that next team's going to get them. I said last year, Dallas is going to beat them in the Western Conference. And then they don't. This season, I said the LA Kings at home. They're so good at home. The LA Kings are going to beat them. Well, they beat the Kings. And then they have Vegas. Vegas has 4 lines they can roll. They're going to be hard getting to the blue paint. They're going to have balanced scoring, and they're going to beat the Edmonton Oilers. And then they don't. So this one's going to be different. This is a 7-game series. I think both of these teams, even if Dallas has the better goaltending and comes out with a good home start, the Edmonton Oilers just don't go away. This is a team that's found a different way to win than they're accustomed to. It's a team that has found a way to win through defending. The Oilers? Are we sure? It's a team that used to win 6-5 and be happy with it, McDavid with 5 points. But they're winning in different ways, which makes them extremely dangerous. And for the first time on video and on paper, it's the Edmonton Oilers. And I can see the Edmonton Oilers winning this in 7 games. But to do that, they're going to have to win a game in Dallas. And I think they can. The Edmonton Oilers team is different. They're defending better. They're winning wall battles. They're getting pucks through the zone. They're happy to just chip pucks wall to wall to wall, winning those battles, and they're winning battles to the net. It's a different Edmonton Oilers team. They're defending better, and they're creating offense from all different areas. But to win, their power play is going to have to be better. McDavid and Draisaitl are going to have to be better, and Skinner is going to have to be consistently good like you have seen in the second round. If Skinner reverts back and they try to throw Pickard back into this game, and you look at a goaltending tandem, that could spell problems for the Edmonton Oilers. For Dallas, their biggest chance is to make sure Ottinger plays well and to get Duchesne and Robertson going. Rantanen can't carry them by himself because it's too easy to defend one player, one line that the Dallas Stars are trying to roll out. So surprisingly, I can't believe I'm saying this because I like the Dallas Stars to win the cup from November on. I like the Dallas Stars, but right now, on the 21st of May, it's the Edmonton Oilers. And I think they might find their way back to the Stanley Cup final. Well, thanks for coming with me inside the coach's room and taking a little time to hear my thoughts on the Western Conference Finals. There's going to be a video out later today highlighting some of these things I've talked about and showing them to you on a video breakdown that will be out later this afternoon. But in the meantime, make sure you subscribe to Inside the Coach's Room so you don't miss any of these videos. There'll be video breakdowns of every game in this series. We'll break down every goal to show the mistakes, and we'll show you the good plays. We'll show you the plays that make the play every day following these games, so you know what the heck is going on in the fastest game on ice. Maybe you'll learn a little thing too. So make sure you subscribe to Inside the Coach's Room. Thanks for joining me today on this little chat about the Western Conference Finals. We'll be back later this week. I've got a surprise guest that we're going to talk more about the Eastern Conference. But until then, I'm Petey, and as always, we'll see you at the rink.